I had this sort of fairly extensive background prior to that. I did the whole system training for a number of years, became an instructor, and then I didn't want to be like, I hate those schools that are, we draw from this source, draw from that source, and they're no good at all of them. I just thought, I'm going to be the self-defense guy. That probably could teach kickboxing and all that stuff, but I thought, no, I'm going to be the self-defense guy. That's it. So I just started teaching Krav Maga exactly how it was taught to me. I guess coming from a fighting background first was huge, because fighting's all about results. It's not about the process. It's about winning. Essentially, that's what I wanted my people to do, is when we did these scenarios, when we did knife defense, whatever it is, I just wanted positive results, and we weren't really getting those. So that's what made me explore why. Initially, it was kind of like, well, maybe we're not training it hard enough, which is what most people would say. But then I sort of looked a little bit deep, and I was about to go, hang on a second, maybe it's not us, maybe it's that, maybe it's them, maybe it's the system, maybe it's all those things. But how dare, I question an Israeli Special Forces guy.
Well, a number of people who are telling me that it depends on the school. It can be super crappy and super good. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. It's like all arts. You can go to a really good karate school, really bad one. With Krav Maga, one of the issues is quality control of instructors. Money talks. It's not like a lot of arts where you need a real solid depth of understanding to become an instructor. One example is there's a place that teaches in Sydney. He said he started Krav Maga training in 2011 and then opened the school in 2013. And I was like, what? That's a short period of time to go from your first class to opening a school. Yep. That quality control isn't there. They need to set the bar higher, and we set the bar really high. You have to be able to fight, otherwise you're not getting it. If I say go forth, you now can defend yourself, I put a bit of weighting onto that. I don't want to send people out there with a false sense of security, so I put them to the test big time.
I know it's subjective to a degree, but the majority of the videos you see on YouTube is a fair assessment of what's mostly happening in Krav Maga?
I think so, because we quite often get people that have trained in other schools come across. Just the feedback we get, quite often they don't stay because it's too intense. Or then you get the hardcore guys that are like, oh, we never did this stuff. The instructor would just say, do this, but we'd never test it. We'd never see if it would work. We'd have to just, probably like all arts, take their word for it sort of thing.
I haven't yet seen a video where I'm like, oh, this is really good. What about yourself?
They're few and far between. I look at a lot of these videos and they're embarrassing. That's one of the biggest reasons why we've dropped the name is just because people assume we're all the same, and they assume we're that terrible, which I'd like to think isn't the case at all. And I'm pretty sure I'd put, my guys up to the challenge or the task against anyone, but it's huge. The majority of the videos are terrible. They're terrible. And I just sit there and go, oh, I can't be a part of this anymore. From what I've seen, 9 out of 10's being generous, 9 out of 10 being bad. And that's the thing. You would think that if you're making a video and putting it out for public consumption, it's your highlight reel. You're not putting out the worst part of your class. You're seeking the best part that makes you look the best. I think it's a fair assessment that you can judge a lot by what people put out there.
What are the good parts about it?
I do like the philosophy. I do like dirty fighting as an equalizer, so to speak. Again, I'm not saying that there is a pressure point or any of that nonsense that will stop an attacker, but fighting dirty does open up opportunities for you. I like the syllabus. I like what it covers. I like, that it covers knife defense and multiple tackles and all those things. The other big thing that I must say about it is it basically started off my exploration down this path. So it was like the catalyst to make me think and seek other things.
Where would you say it fails?
Like I was saying about quality control is a big one. Modern world of training is very different to what it was in the past. So for example, when I first did my first aid certificate, I think it was 5 days. Now it's like less than 5 hours. It's like 3 hours. We've shortened everything, and I know less about first aid than I do back then. And I think Krav Maga is modern martial arts, fits into that modern world. Again, it just scratches the surface. It doesn't go into any depth of understanding. If I want to get into specifics, I think the 360-degree defense, which, make a circle with your arms, is a bit of nonsense. Basic boxing, MMA, kickboxing, showing you how to block, use that. The simultaneous block and strike, I think, is nonsense. And if it was so good that you would build your entire system around, then you'd see it more in boxing matches in the UFC. Sure. Granted, I must admit, in my boxing days, I would do it off a jab. If someone had jab, I'd parry and jab at the same time. But that's we're talking 2% of the time it would pay off. Is 2% worth building a system around? Absolutely not. I also think the small toolbox is just inadequate. The round fighting portion of it was like 2 moves. And I was like, geez, lucky I've done a few years of wrestling and things like that, because otherwise it was way inadequate. There's not a few bad apples, I shouldn't say that. There's only a few good apples. I think is probably a better way to put it. It really needs, quality control. People need to lift their games. For me to sit there and give a tick of approval and say, I'm part of this, like, it has to be decent. Too many people bring it down. Too many people make it indecent, I guess.
It's very realistic that Krav Maga people are watching this video and they're becoming disillusioned and they're thinking, man, maybe this is not the best. So what would be your suggestion?
If you really want to look at your own training and sort of determine whether or not it's sort of realistic, number one, are you going home with bruises and aches and pains? If you're not, you're doing something different. Have a look at CCTV footage of fights and violence and have a look at what you're doing. Just see, could what you're doing function in there? Yeah, just look at it. Does it look like a fight realistically? And the other thing is, what's the attacker doing, the person who you're up against? Are they really trying? Because quite often they're not. Like, even these high-level knife guys throughout the world, they're like, yeah, our knife system's the best. But I'm like, you know what? I could do everything that you're doing if my knife guys are trying, as hard as you guys are. Like, if you have a look at our knife videos, we had a knife day, which they could do what they want. They could come in, they could headbutt, kick, they could run and jump across the room. I put like brooms and props in there they could pick up and hit each other with. Like, it was kind of within reason. I walked away from that disillusion going, man, all the stuff that we do doesn't work. And then all these armchair critics are going, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, we were trying to do that. We're trying to do that. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that. Like, everyone was just trying to get something to work, but it didn't. They're trying to kill you. Like, but these other people's videos, they're not. They're not. Like, in slow motion, and you slow it down 10% even, the amount of things that you will get to work increases dramatically.
If you want to learn why I quit Aikido after 15 years of practice, click on this video right here. Until next video, keep owning your journey.